Hey, welcome back to Luxury Code. Today, we are blessed to have a legend, the Betty Graham in the house. So listen to this. Licensed in Malibu, California in 1976, her and some pals started Coast and Canyon, a little boutique brokerage. Then she was wooed away by the legendary Jack Douglas of the John Douglas Company, worked with Jack for several years before Coldwell Banker then acquired that company, the first big luxury company that they had acquired. She managed the #1 Coldwell Banker office internationally for 12 straight years in Beverly Hills, California, leading hundreds of agents to extraordinary levels of success, so much that Coldwell Banker gave her a little tap on the shoulder and asked them to lead globally their previews division. Now we would refer to it as Coldwell Banker Global Luxury. When I travel around the country and I talk to friends in the luxury marketplace and I mention the name Betty Graham, I literally hear from hundreds of people that Betty Graham touched their life in a way, changed their business in a way, led them in a way that impacted them forever. Today on the Luxury Code, we have Betty Graham, ladies and gentlemen. Betty, welcome to the show.
Wow, Tommaso, thank you. Such
Yes.
a generous introduction.
Betty, there are few people in real estate that deserve an introduction, and I probably could have talked for 15 or 20 minutes, but they don't want to hear from me. They want to talk to you. So, Betty, I could go 1,000 different directions in this show, but I love your ability to tell stories. Tell us, like, what did you do before you got into real estate so people have context? And then what in the world were you and your friends thinking starting a real estate company from scratch in Malibu in 1976 after you just got your license?
Well, and it was all female, that little group,
Yes.
Coast and Canyon. And why not? It made sense. We had an office on the coast and an office in the canyon, Topanga Canyon.
Yes.
Yeah, so why not? It's independence, right? People love to be independent. It took me a while to realize that we could have that within the context of a big, warm embrace from a fabulous company where it was easier to get listings. It was easier to
Sure.
attract buyers.
Sure. Sure. But Betty, 1976, there's a young girl listening right now that aspires to one day start her own company. What would you say to that girl? I mean, 1976, I can't think of many female CEOs. I can't think of many female owners at that time, let alone starting brand new and in Malibu, California, like in the heart of luxury real estate. What would you say to that young girl listening right now?
Well, I was local, right? So I think knowing where you are and then building a profile there, you have a head start wherever you are.
Hmm.
So if you like that place, then own it. As I once heard in Tom Ferry, be the mayor of that town.
That's right.
So, and you can do it so beautifully now with
Yes.
video first, right, Mr.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, interviewing the locals, getting engaged with the community in so many ways. They love to share. They love to be. What I found in building my career is that the people that I met through my ex-husband, who was a film director, uh, and I had to earn their trust. I mean, you don't just hand somebody because you're a wife,
Right.
but they wanted to help. I was a photographer first, trying to, it's hard to make a living in photography and still
Yeah.
photography, and but it was so much fun. I got to be on the set and shoot, right,
Hmm.
and see my pictures on beside of the movie theater and like that. So that part was fun, but I think it implied that I was a worker bee. And so
Hmm.
those people, I just developed their confidence, their trust. Trust is everything. And so to that young girl, I would say, start where you are and, just build your company, build your life around that company.
I love it.
If
I
you
love
want
it.
to go somewhere else, get on the Greyhound bus like I did from Lost Hills, California, and head down to LA, just step up.
So
Step
Betty, I
up
think,
and walk
yeah,
tall.
right. I mean, no one says it better than you. I think it's important for the person that doesn't know, your background. I have been so lucky to know you for such a long time, and just the work that we've been able to do. And in the spirit of what's going on here for the person listening, Betty, this legend is a business coach for us now and works with these people that just swear by her words every single day. Give a little backstory though, just for the person listening, before we get into all this luxury stuff that you are just remarkable at. Where were you born? How did you get to California? Just kind of the short version.
Yeah. First of all, I would be nowhere without you, Tom. I can't even begin to tell you. I'm so grateful to you. You helped me so much when I was president of Coldwell Banker. You were right there by my side if I ever reached out. And thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. So,
Yes.
yeah, I was born on a cotton farm in Alabama. It's hard to be on a cotton farm in Alabama because the stalks don't grow very tall. You look at the comparison to the San Joaquin Valley, they're about 3 or 4 times taller because
Yeah.
there's more, I guess, nutrients in the soil. I don't know. But then we moved we're one of 8 children, right?
Hmm.
My father believed he had to grow a farm workers family, right? So then we bought a little farm in the southeast corner of Missouri, 100 acres. He turned that farm into, it was raw land with stumps and things. And he turned that farm into a very productive farm for the area. But in the end, it's too much floods, or too much sun, and you can't make any money. You have to keep replanting. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, right, Tom?
Right. Right.
So piled everything we owned on the top of our Studebaker and drove to the San Joaquin Valley like John Steinbeck, right?
Yeah.
And I was 15. So that's right. I lived in a migrant workers camp and went to high school in Wasco or outside of Bakersfield. So
Betty,
that's my background.
when you hear that story, and you and I talk so much, about work ethic, do the right thing, strong values, great relationships. I don't want to say that there's a lot of people that didn't have the kind of upbringing that you've had, because a lot of people have experienced hardship, tougher lives. How much of that though do you think shaped who you become?
Maybe 100%.
Yeah.
First of all, with 5 boys, and I was the middle girl, the firstborn, nobody messed with Edna.
Oh
And then
yeah.
the last born was our baby.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of these hunka burning testosterone, and they're always taunting me. And
Sure.
I was driven. I still believe that I have a subconscious messaging from those guys. So yeah, it's work ethic is just in me. I mean,
Yes.
but the only problem with that, Tom, I think it's like being on a treadmill. You can never get there from here. You can
Right.
never get enough. You can never get. I think my poor husband. I think he keeps wondering when I'm going to start acting my age.
I hope never, just for the, spirit of truth here, never. So Betty, let's talk about leading through interesting times. You manage this unbelievable office, this legendary office with, I don't, maybe you share how many agents, but you saw markets with high interest rates, you saw markets with inflation, you saw markets during turbulent times, and yet you ran the #1 office in the world for 12 years. Those weren't all easy years. So what advice do you have for the listener today who is, we're all leading ourselves, we're leading our families, we're leading our support team, we're leading our buyers and sellers through some interesting times right now. What have you found to be the things that, the plays that you run during these challenging times?
Well, there'll always be challenging times, and in a real estate broker's life, it's what makes it so fascinating.
Hmm.
So What I said a while ago, keep your head down. Yes, do keep your head down, but keep your social media up, you know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
really keep working. Add a little more budget to what you're advertising. Don't stop now. Put your foot on the pedal. Call more people. They want to hear what's going on. You are the expert.
Right.
You're the one who really knows. Follow KCM. Do that package that KCM is offering right now.
Right.
It's phenomenal. It helps you. It answers the questions for you, makes you look like a star that knows what they're doing, talking
Yeah.
about. And it really is supplying wonderful information to the community who hears the bits and pieces. So when you go to the dentist and he says, "So how is the market?" Right? It's really, it's crazy. It's like on everybody's lips. So yes, you
Yep.
have to have an answer.
Yeah.
But, this is just another time. In inflation, usually, typically, if you really look
Mhm.
at what has happened historically, usually housing prices go up.
Right.
So follow what KCM is directing here. And, you're so the step up.
Yes.
First of all, familiarity breeds trust. So send out a CMA every day. Call at least one a day. We'll have a conversation. I really appreciate our past and future business, and I feel an obligation to let you know what's really going on. And some of my clients have been asking for a market analysis just out of curiosity because they want to know where they stand. So it would be my pleasure to send you a complimentary market analysis of your home,
Yeah.
and I'll do that today. And I'll give you a call tomorrow. Now, that was on a video to them, so they're not answering you.
Yeah.
Your video, the face breeds trust, right? Familiarity breeds trust, right?
Yes.
So you're doing a 3-step punch and giving them some great, solid information.
Betty, so this is so great. Like, I have like 5 questions going through my head. The first thing is, how do you stay so culturally relevant? I mean, think about it. You're sitting here talking social and video and all this stuff, and a lot of people, I don't know, they struggle to keep their finger on the pulse. And one of the things I've always admired about you is you have your finger on the pulse. How does somebody do that if they're listening to right now? Like, what's your best advice?
Well, wait. When you get up in the morning, start with that. You gotta wake up with the right attitude. I say good morning to my toes. I put them off and hello feet. And my trainer taught me to talk to them, right? So
Right.
I do that, and then I do exactly what that. Remember that nice young man you had on one of the summits who said, "Go straight to the mirror and give yourself a big smile."
Yes.
I do that every single day, Tom. I do
Yes.
it every day before I brush my teeth.
I
And
love it.
and it makes me feel good. First of all, you're prettier when you smile,
Yes.
And
Yes.
why not start the day with loving yourself?
Yeah. So
What was
you
the question?
yeah. So you do all these things to keep yourself fired up. But Betty, listen, you are this powerhouse who's been in this business for a long time, and you're talking about CMA a day campaigns. You're talking about shooting video because people don't answer phones. There's someone listening right now who works in the high end or maybe aspires to be in the high end, and they're like, I'm afraid to do things like video. Like I'm afraid of some of those activities. Or as you mentioned earlier, I'm making phone calls every day. Like I look at your average sales price, maybe the people don't know that are listening right now, you're still doing transactions, right? You're still engaged in the business, and you're also, helping others, and you're coaching people, and you're running your life. And like, I just think to myself, what do you say to the person right now that is a little stuck, who just isn't moving forward with the times? Video, just as an example.
Yeah, so I know. I have one of my coaching clients who knows she needs to be doing video, but she just is inhibited. I mean, I don't know what is it about giving away your soul, the way the Indian belief or whatever. But you got to go beyond. what it is you feel. If you look at the superstars in real estate, they don't get up every day and feel like doing what they do, but they do it anyway.
That's it.
And so, and that's another thing, is watch what other people do. Look at how they look at how their social profile is. Being mindful. It's not that you're going to leapfrog and go right into it. That hardly ever happens. You may get an opportunity that you wouldn't have had, but then you've got to build on that opportunity, right? So, but to the exact question, I think it's about making your list, knowing that you're working on your mindset early in every day, and then making the time for it. Our lives are like one tornado after another in real estate. That's who we are. Tom, I believe that the real estate agent, that they're the unsung heroes of the business world.
I agree.
Look at that. You spec your time, you spec your energy, and you spec your money. You never know for sure when and if it'll pay off. I think it's noble work that a real estate agent does. So if you start with that and you feel good about the work you've chosen, and you like serving people, and you like helping people grow, and certainly real estate is the place that they're going to build the most wealth. Right. It's a given. And you look at what the market is doing since 1965, it's gone that way, right?
Yeah.
So yes, there may be a dip now and then, but look at the whole picture. So how long are you going to hold on to that property?
Right.
And when are you going to start living your life post-pandemic,
Yeah.
So I think I lost track.
It's okay. I love it. No, you just keep spitting fire. I want to go a totally different direction. Betty, what's the biggest transaction you've been involved in, either supporting one of your agents or yourself personally? And what was the lesson through that crazy transaction?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So Mrs. Spelling, we were going to go over to preview the mansion and do a listing presentation. And she had disclosed that she would be seeing other agents. She liked our agent, had done a deal with her, but, she was going to see other good agents.
Yeah.
So we pulled out all stops. We had our PR guy there with us. I had Bob Foster, because I wasn't sure that he was my RVP at the time. I wasn't sure that Mrs. Spelling she might like a nice man there.
Yeah.
And we had Jeanette, our advertising, our marketing person. So we were like 4 or 5 people on this side of the white sofa.
Yeah.
And on that side was Mrs. Spelling and her attorney and her PR person and her book publisher. And so on. So it was facing each other. So the attorney said to me, "So Betty, if Mrs. Spelling lists her house at $50 million and you bring an offer of $39, what would you think she should do?" Mind you, this was many years ago.
Yeah. And
I said, "Look lovingly at that." and just as I spoke, her Wheaton Terrier comes bounding in and jumps on the white sofa and into my lap. So I did what was natural. I rubbed her ears. The attorney continued the conversation. And then Madison was the dog's name. He moved along. And later, in Mrs. Spelling's book, she said that she had chosen her realtor by who her dog liked best. So go figure.
A nice $50 million listing. You're like, I now bring dog treats on every presentation I go on.
No question.
That is now. Didn't the Spelling property sell again after that?
Again and again.
Right. I thought was the last one something like north of $150 million. I thought.
Yes, that's right.
What is it like What is it like walking into a presentation like that? For the person listening that, like some people are intimidated by a $800,000 sales price. Some people are intimidated by an $8 million sales price. But when you start talking, $100 million sales price, what advice do you have in terms of preparation or, winning the listing beyond hoping and praying that you got dog treats in your pocket and the dog likes you? What advice do you have?
So, first of all, you've spent a lot of time already in preparation. When you come there, you've got a beautiful bound presentation
Yeah.
about her property and about it in context. Because establishing value in the ultra high end is an art form. It's not really, you use the data, yes, but
Yes.
it's knowing the value of the finishes or the amenities,
Right.
of course, location, but so it's all of those things, and in the end, it's how you make that person feel, or how that person feels with you,
Mm-hmm.
and that person is probably not a lot different in their everyday life than your life.
Mm-hmm.
In their everyday life, they get up the same way, and I hope they smile in the mirror, but they what they have on their mind is maybe getting their child into school,
Mm-hmm.
or improving the soccer game, or how am I going to lose 10 pounds? I got to stop smoking. All of those things are what life issues. So that's what people have too. You find some commonality with that person, and by researching, learn as much as you can. And there's so much available information
Right.
online. So you work on finding information about the property, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and the history of the property, and hopefully who lived there.
Right.
And celebrity is an interesting thing too. Celebrity, I don't think it adds really value, but it adds value to the exposure,
Sure.
right? So, and so in that sense, it certainly adds value. But you bring as much information as you know about the parties, because that's how you're going to reach commonalities.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fake it. You can't say, "Oh, I love working for animal rescue," when
Right.
you just you might instead say, "Gee, that is so interesting. I've often wanted to do something like that, but I don't know where to begin."
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Oh, let me tell you. Right. Exactly.
Right. Yes, exactly. So, yeah, if they want to know what you're going to do, how you're going to handle their
Mm-hmm.
property, and that it's going to be the way, and that they're in terms of, if you know them, if you really know them, you don't even have to have a non-disclosure addendum signed, because they know that it's in the vault.
Yes.
But
Yes.
more normally, you might not even know them, and they ask about that. Yes, of course, I'll be happy to.
Mm-hmm.
Your information is critically important.
Yes.
Keeping a lid on all of that. So, and they don't. Many times, people don't want to know, um, particularly not the price, which that always gets out into the universe
Right.
somewhere.
Right.
Uh, but they think that they can control that. Well, at least they can control it through the negotiation.
Yes.
I remember
Yeah.
Johnny Carson one time. He had he wanted to buy the lot across the street to put a tennis court, and there were two lots. One had a house on it, and one was vacant. And so he didn't want them to know it was he offering, because then they would put the price higher,
Right. Jack the
right?
price.
And so we negotiated with his business manager's name, and he built that wonderful property that way. But yeah, so they like to stay hidden,
Yeah.
but they
It's
also love recognition, right?
it's a delicate. Yeah. I mean, every luxury broker I talk to, that's celebrities, celebrity CEOs, athletes. It's that delicate dance, right? And trust is the most important thing. I was just thinking that in the LA market specifically, right? the Ernie Carswell, who I just was with a couple of days ago at Gathering of the Eagles, Joyce Ray. I mean, we could just go on and on and on. All of these legendary real estate brokers. There's so much competition in the marketplace. The new guard that's come in the last decade, the Altman brothers, and I look at John Grauman and all these just incredible agents. There's so much competition. What do you do to stand out? What do you do to find your tribe?
So, and you look at Ernie is a great example, I think, of someone who I love Ernie Carswell, Joyce Ray,
right?
Really. But they and they both do this. So Joyce has a wonderful team. So does Ernie have a wonderful team, and they both reflect the values. Like we at John Douglas Company, his the sign of respect was his mantra. It was on every sign, the sign of respect, and there was a demand in that, right? So what they're putting out there, both of them, Joyce is very engaged with so many charitable and political processes, and Ernie with that veranda or whatever it is he calls it, he's so sharing, gives so much wonderful information, which the clients will listen to, the agents will listen to. He is about making life better here for the real estate agent, for the real estate client.
Yes.
And Joyce, she does it with tenderness. And that it's going to be handled the right way. Both of them come to the party with a history that you cannot quarrel with. So then how to be the one up against them? Ask them to share it with you. If you're not sure you're going to get it, even though you know the people well and they seem to care about you.
Yeah.
Make yourself, sometimes it's oh my gracious. It's what do they say? 2 and 2 makes 5.
Right.
You got to get into a formula of I'm building something here.
Yeah.
And I'm building it for a reason. So that if that agent's, he or she is so clear about who they are, then you say, who am I going to align myself with that would please my client?
Yes.
Would certainly please the other agent.
Yes. It's so interesting. I interviewed Randy B on this show. Big shout out to Randy from New York City. And he literally says, my first high-end listing was an expired listing in New York City for $20 million. And I said, how did you get it? He goes, I went to the number one agent in that part of town in my company and said, would you come with me on this listing appointment? Let's split it 50-50. Right? The number of times I've heard that story, I go back to, you and I have been doing this for a long time. When I coached Joe Babajan 100 years ago, Joe's entire business model was he would tell agents, hey, if you get a hot one, bring me in. Right? And just
phenomenal.
He was, I say, Joe, Joe, if you're listening, shout out to you. Right? So a legend in the business. Remember him like driving around in his Rolls Royce with the giant brick cell phone. I'm dating us here, right? And he would just say, hey, if you got a hot one, call me. I don't care if it's 3 million, 5 million, 50 million. But when he would show up, that agent went from good agent to legendary status overnight. So there is something to that, right? I absolutely agree 100%. Betty, last question before we got to bounce here. You have done so much for so many. You were spitting fire earlier on you need to be making phone calls. You need to be doing CMA a days. You need to be sending videos. What advice do you have for the person listening right now that is aspiring to raise their sales price or just aspiring to do more? And again, looking at your legendary history and now, as an amazing, performance coach, what are 2 or 3 nuggets that you would share as we wrap this up to just point people in the right direction?
2 things. Again, I say that we have a lot of chaos around us. So before you go on any important phone call, Zoom call, or in person, get yourself centered.
Yeah.
15 minutes of being really quiet so that when you go, you are truly engaged. You are absolutely present. And they will always know if that's true or if it's not true, even on a phone call. Mm-hmm. They'll know if you're distracted or your words are not, if you're not looking out for them from the get-go. That's what I think. Luxury product is one thing, but luxury service is how you're going to get the business. And so that feeling, that absolute commitment, you look at Chris Cortazzo. He looks into the eyes of whomever he is with, and you feel like your soul has been seen.
Yes.
And he has that genius ability to make people feel that there's no one else in the room. And so I think being that focused is a wonderful springboard for any agent.
I agree. So that focus, and again, big shout out to Chris Cortazzo, who we've known forever. I mean, you helped him so much in his career. So the first one is just preparation and listening. What's number 2?
Okay, so what's number 2? Preparation and listening. You got to know the inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you're doing is to bring value, right? If you know the inventory and you know the histories. And so don't ever miss an opportunity to go on Caravan or to see more houses.
Yes.
That's where you're going to see more agents, and getting yourself aligned with really good agents. So, and people love to help. I think people love to see people grow.
Yes.
It's what motivates me is I want, my brothers they give me the spark, the electricity for it, but I want to make a difference here. Yes. I want to make a difference in the lives of real estate agents. And that's why I love being a coach for you, Tom. It's so if they have that same kind of commitment, I think it'll all happen so much smoother.
I agree. There's not many people I can talk to, looking at my own team here, who can just casually say, when Johnny Carson called me and wanted to buy the lot next door. Betty, I love you so much. For the people that are listening, I'm sure you hear my respect and admiration for this woman. And, she's kind to say that I was always there supporting her. And Betty, you've always had my back. And for that, I am always grateful for you. I really think we need to do a long form version. Next time you and I got to get together face to face, because I think about that time that I interviewed you many moons ago and you're like, don't ask me any questions about my way early past. And it's the only thing I wanted to talk about. So we're leaving everybody here as a hook for the next face to face interview with Betty Graham. So Betty, thank you for your time, your generosity, your leadership, your ability to move people. I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks at the summit. I know you're active on social, so if you're not following Betty Graham, I strongly recommend it. Her current average sales price looks to be about $7 million in Beverly Hills, so she's still active in the business. If you know someone that needs her support, I would tell you, send her your referrals. She's that bananas. I've never done that on the show before. Ever. I don't think I'm ever going to do it again, but Betty deserves it, right? Because she's done so much for the industry. So I love you. I'll see you in a couple weeks. So my friends, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, share this with a friend or two that needs some legendary insight from one of the true, just best of the best of the industry. Betty, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Lots of love. See you soon.